Hey folks, Species7 here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are having a look at, well, I'm sure you all recognize it. It is the latest and greatest thing to make on YouTube here. This is Medieval Engineers, and done by Keen Software, same folks that gave us Space Engineers, which, quite frankly, in my opinion, is probably one of the most feature-rich early access games that's ever hit Steam, and has certainly proven that Keen Software likes to keep up on their products, because I don't think I've ever seen anything get so many patches, so many updates, upgrades, additions, etc., than little bits of junk laying about in the grass than Space Engineers has. So this is their latest offering, and this is Medieval Engineers, which is Space Engineers, well, without space. Quite frankly, we are down here into olden times when stick and stone were the building material of choice as opposed to welded plates and exotic machinery. So what makes this, other than the fact that such an incredible software company is actually producing it, that's quite the crater. What makes this stand out from the myriad of voxel-based block building type survival whatever games that are out there? Well, first of all, there's absolutely no survival. In current mode, this is creative only, but they will get to it. Despite the rather ludicrous comments that keep coming up on the Steam forums of these guys of, "Oh, you haven't even finished Space Engineers, why are you starting another game? You guys are so fail, oh, I'm so..." Give it a break. You know, when you have the kind of success that Space Engineers brings to a small development company, you can usually afford to hire a couple of more people to work on another game. So, what is it that makes this different? Well, in my opinion, it's what happens when you hit the N key. Everything turns green and yellow. Now let's see Space Engineers do. No, I'm just kidding. What this is this is showing load stress. Alright. Now, here I've just got a sort of a little stack of blocks, and they're supported by the blocks that are here in white. Now, a block in white tells you that it is fully supported by the ground. As we can see here, there is a block underneath this one that is fully supported, and then above that, this next block has a fair bit of stress on it. The one above that, even more. And this is where this game really shines. Although, oddly enough, they do recommend you turn this feature off in your settings when you're first learning to play. But what if you don't want to do that? What if I want to instead add another block there? Okay, see that's gotten a darker orange at the pivot point? Let's add another block. Ooh, we're almost red. One more. Now, see, my problem here is I'm going to end up on top of there if I'm not careful. So I think what we're going to do, in fact, is go to flight mode. Just press X and then the space bar will take me up. Okay, we'll see that block is almost red now. Let's place one there. Ooh, is it ever getting red? Is this just simply a pretty color thing? Well, we're about to find out that in fact, it's not. There we go. That's what happens if you exceed your stress levels, or the stress limits of your buildings. They will in fact simply become so much rubble. And you can disappear a bunch of this stuff if you want to, and the stuff that you can't actually disappear will go away on its own over time. So you don't end up with huge debris fields. They don't last forever, at least. So there you go. That is to say, I think that's one of the really keen features of this particular game that you're not going to find in others. There we go. See, now if I support this all the way along, you'll notice these stress points are slowly but surely fading away. Right? Right. There we go. Now it's all green, so this wall isn't likely to fall over. As for the building aspect of it itself, well, it's pretty darn cool. Apparently I have a couple of stray blocks here. But that's okay. They're obviously just actually pieces. So I just want to see if I can get rid of them. Let's go to this particular tool. And I don't actually see what I need to be erasing there, so maybe we shouldn't muck with it. Let's turn this back off for the moment. And, oh, there we go. Just simply that little bit in there. There we go. I got rid of that one. And that got rid of that one. Okay. Now back to what we were doing. You can build some excellent things here. If we hit the G key, that brings this up. And this is currently the blocks that are available. And there are variations on these. I.e., if you pick some of these blocks, simply rotating them can change shapes, especially things like roof blocks. And that can be really important. So we got a bunch of stone components up here, everything from your basic cube to some pretty interesting and useful shapes, especially, again, considering that you do have to put up with stresses. You'll see a lot of things like arched pieces, actual arches that you can place into against the bases of ceilings, etc., to give them support. There's all kinds of structural support bits, right down to just straight timber beams. We also have some sort of decorative stuff. You have wooden stairs and railings and these sort of things. You have lots of roof parts in tile, wood, and straw, as those would have been the exotic materials of choice for roofing. We have these physics parts, and these are the things you can use to build things like drawbridges and catapults and trebuchets and on and on and on. And they're really, really cool, right down to here's windmill blades, cannonballs, or they call them projectiles, but they come in a couple of sizes. And stuff you can just place around to give a little more realism, i.e. everything from a statue of a king to a simple wooden chair. So these parts are all available, and for the moment, well, as you can see, they seem to be thinking they're going to definitely expand this a little bit, and I'm sure they will. So, what is the building like in this game? It's kind of intuitive and kind of, well, not so much. For instance, if we decide, okay, there's your simple block, right? Now, one of the things that I have found that's a little odd is you should be able to, and few people have had issues with this. I should be able to drag this across and get an entire row of blocks. Unfortunately, and like I said, this is an issue that has been mentioned by a few people. For some reason, it doesn't seem to want to work every time. And let's just place our last one there. Now what happens when you get to a section like that where, as you can see, we can't really see our brick because it's being covered up. So how about we just simply, if you see here, it's really hard to make it out, but you can see I've got this sort of little dome shaped thing going on here. And if I trade that over a place, it will actually allow me to remove material. You can start to see the brick shining through here now. You have to be a little careful with this tool though, because as you can see, it's actually removing a fair bit of ground down there. Now I can add that back. And you can see just by right clicking, which is placing, and as you can see there it says material grass. You can switch what type of material if you'd prefer that to be dirt, and if you're doing that, I can of course even raise rather large hillocks, etc. So but anyway, so you can do terraforming. The other thing, of course, is the building, and I've started some rather simple structures here. Okay, and what I have so far is just a few walls, an arched doorway, and some corner pieces. So how do we go about with that? Well, let's take, for instance, let's say on this side here, I wanted to put in, rather than a wall, maybe I wanted to put in a window. So let's go to number 8, and there's your placement. As you can see, that will simply set in there. You can rotate, and I can again move that to the edge if I wanted to. You can rotate with the Q and the E, or the, I believe it's Y, but this particular block doesn't rotate in that direction. So Q and E to rotate these type of blocks. Left mouse button will place it down. And there you are. I have a nice little arched sort of window thing going on there. To remove blocks, let's say I thought, well, I should have a window here. I can simply right click, the block's gone, and then let's rotate this, and we'll place it in there. There we are. Now we have an arch on both sides. So quite simple. Let's go to the straight up wall, which is number 7. Doink. And let's... Now I want to make sure of something here. Oops. Let's rise up a little bit. So. Oop. Okay, that's obviously not where I wanted that wall. So let's try that again. There we go. Now for these corners, as you noticed, I've got rounded corners. They're that particular structural block, which is this one, number 6, and again, rotate it into the position you want it. There we go. Place it. Has considerably more strength than a straight up wall would. Obviously, because you can see how much thicker it is in the corners. Pressing X will drop you out of fly me mode, and then we can go and place whatever else we wanted in there, i.e. straight up walls. Again, rotate them into the direction that you want and place them in. There we go. We have a very simple walled structure. Cool. A little bit of light coming in on the sides, nice solid wall in the back, looking good. Let's levitate ourselves a little bit. Whoops, a little too much. This is one thing that people have had issues with, and I think they're absolutely right, is the fact that they used the same flight mechanic from Space Engineers, which is fine, it works, but you really do feel like you're kind of using some sort of a jetpack, because when I take my finger off the key, how long it takes. Press, let go, see he drifts. That makes it kind of hard sometimes to do buildy things. Indeed, it does. Okay, so if we wanted, oops, wrong one. Let's try that, shall we? And if we rotate this around, we'll see that's going to give us some roofing material. That's not really the one I want for that edge. So I can, with the mouse wheel, change the shape of that particular piece of roof. And that looks about right there. So let's place that. Let's do the same on this corner. Place that. We will do the same again here. And this is the least intuitive part of this game, is actually trying, and I do mean trying, to get all these pieces in place. So again, mouse wheel, that's an invert, there's a straight one. So let's tack that around. There we go. Yeah. Placement is not. There we go. Oops. Let's not have that one there. I'm going to say the roofs can be a bit problematic. How about on the sides here? Whoops. Again, that drift is kind of taken over from us. Let's switch this around. And once again, it doesn't want to place where I'd like it to place. So it can definitely be a little bit of a problem. See, that's not where we actually want that. Come on. Ugh. Alright, how about if we take that out. Now, are you going to allow me to place you beside that? Again, for some reason, it doesn't want to. Now, if I hit the auxiliary key, it should let me stick it in closer. Alright. Now, let's go back to that particular shape. Will auxiliary allow it to plunk it in there? Oh, yes, it will. There we go. So, apparently, that's what we need to do, is figure out if things are actually going to fit or not. Let's rotate this around. Auxiliary key. Pop it into place. And there we go. Nice. And let's just quickly, for the heck of it, turn this on. So far looks good. I can see a couple of yellowy spots, but I don't think anything that's going to exactly do us in at this point. And place. And zippy-doo over here a little bit. Oops, no, that's definitely wrong. There we go. Okay, whoops, nope. I sometimes have a hard time figuring out where that goes are. How's that? That's better. Now all we need to do, whoops, again, that drift can get a little bit obtuse on us here, so let's get this guy to face the right way. There we go. And again with auxiliary to try and get it to line up. There we go. Oops. Again a little bit too quickery. And alright. Now, it's coming along. So let's go to part 4. And let's rotate this. That should do. Get up here on the roof. See, and here's where we can kind of have some issues. Oof, too high. Too high in the air. And oops. corner out there. See, and here's a problem. When you go to take pieces out, that happens. Often as not. As I say, the roof has a lot to be desired at this point. It truly does. I mean, yeah, we can fill that in. And over to here. Okay. But again, we got that little bit of an overhang. So what can we do to fill in these spots? Well, I think this guy actually might be the part we need. So let's go to part 6, which we have. Okay, now maybe it's a different one I need. Wooden wall slope, wooden wall top. That might be the actual one we're after. So let's try that. And sometimes not okay. I'm going to switch to first person here just to see if that'll help me out. Now, place that one in there. Place that one there. And we should be able to do, whoa, again, way too much drift. And there. And there. Alright, well, not terribly even, unfortunately, because, like I said, once you have to remove something, it's just not quite as smooth as you might imagine. Now, you can see we've got a couple of small gaps there, and that's again because we had to remove some parts. Okay, the rest of this sealed up pretty good. I don't know why there's a little gap there. That's just simply a bit of a gamey glitch. So you can make some pretty amazing structures this way. And then of course if we want a little bit of lighting, we could go for what do we got here? Brazier and torches, you know, and you can detail up the inside of your building reasonably well. And let's say we wanted some of this. Okay. So now we can, how about a table? What do we got here? Sure. If we wanted to say put a table down, and then maybe some chairs. You know, you can do that. Now, these objects, word of warning, you can bump into them and they will move around because things do live with physics on this game. There we go. Let's tuck these ones in nice and close. So there we've got a couple of those. And we of course want it to be a little lighter in here. So let's place a brazier there. And anything that provides heat will, or that provides fire, is also going to give us some light. What else we got here? Well, we're going to want a bed for sure. So let's place our bed over. And say there, that's fine. And a little reading light, never hurt anybody. So torches, we'll have one by our bed. And we will have some out here by our front entryway. There we go. Now, there we have a nice, simple house. Like I said, a couple of slight mistakes because it is a little tough to get the roofing going exactly where you might want it. But other than that, it's not. The boy don't jump worth a darn either. So, and there you go. You have sort of a interesting little medieval house. The improvements are coming hot and heavy, as you would expect from Keen Software. In fact, when I went to launch this just a little while ago, it in fact did an update before it would launch. So they're all over it, as they are with all other games. There is quite a selection of different worlds you can choose from, i.e. when you create your map. This is the quick spawn map, and they are the same. These are not randomly generated. You know, whenever I go to the quick spawn, start a new world, it's going to come in with that particular house on that structure and the same layout. There's much bigger maps than this that would allow you to build entire cities, etc. But I just want to give you guys a little bit of a show for it. And like I said, there are a number of physics parts that allow you to build some pretty cool contraptions. Right? You can build towers, you can build all kinds of things. If you turn the stress thing off, then you can actually build structures that are, well, physically impossible to build. So, look, now we're playing Space Engineers. Wow, look, there's a whole bunch of world out there. Unfortunately, we're in this little tiny valley, but that is kind of cool that they included all the rest of that. And of course X will shut fly mode off, and there's no fall damage. In fact, you bounce. That's hilarious. Well, there you go. If you ever wanted to know if you fall from high enough, do you bounce? Well, apparently the answer is yes. So, but that's been our look. This game is, as I said, very, very early access. Again, because Keen Software is pretty darn good at what they do. Even early access can be a lot of fun. I mean, at this point, you could build yourself an entire, medieval village right down to working windmills and things like that. So that's been our look at Medieval Engineers. I have not gotten everything shown that is there. Like I said, it's kind of an intuitive thing to play, in so much as how you place blocks and what they do, and at the same token can be rather unintuitive insofar as, well, doing things like the roofing can be a bit of a strain. Not bad. As you can see, we've got a little bit. I know that's kind of hard on the eyes, but so the worst we've got is a bit yellow on the slopes here. And even our very top panel show they've got lots of support. So we actually did pretty good here. And we could expect this structure to stand up well. Of course, if I was to build a little trebuchet or something, I could probably knock it the heck down. But there you are. So that's been it, guys. That's our little look at... I'm stuck. Yeah, the boy don't jump worth a darn, let me tell you. He can fly real good, but he can't jump. Who'd have thought? So, hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. Feel free to leave comments. I always do answer them, good or bad. Until next time, well, this has been Species 7, having our first look, and certainly not our last, I assure you, at Medieval Engineers by Keen Software. Till next time, take care of each other, folks. Have an awesome day. Ciao for now.